The girl who stayed quiet. There are battles the world never sees. Battles fought in quiet rooms, behind tired eyes, inside hearts that have forgotten their own strength. Some people don't hide behind walls, they hide behind silence. And sometimes, the greatest stories begin in the lives of those who feel the smallest. This is Maya's story. A woman who learned to disappear long before she ever wanted to be seen. And across centuries, another soul who hid in shadows. A young man named Gideon. Threshing wheat in a winepress, looking over his shoulder. Hoping no enemy would notice. 2 lives. Different times. Same whisper from heaven, there's more in you. Maya had learned to disappear long before she ever wanted to be seen. Not by running away, not by packing a suitcase and starting over, but by shrinking. Quietly. Softly. Until her presence bothered no one. And her voice echoed only inside her own chest. She moved through the world like someone trying not to leave footprints. Present, but unnoticeable. Breathing, but barely living. A woman in her late 20s. With a gentle face and tired eyes, carrying the weight of years. Where her voice had never been invited, never celebrated, sometimes even silenced. At work she answered softly. At home she closed the door gently. In conversations she stayed small. Afraid of being too much, and terrified of being not enough. And in the quiet corners of her life, she wondered if anyone would ever see who she truly was, or if even heaven had overlooked her. Centuries before Maya ever breathed her first breath, another soul hid in the shadows of his own fear. His name was Gideon. A young man living in a land cracked by oppression, pressed down by voices stronger than his own. And just like Maya, he survived by staying small. He didn't fight on battlefields, didn't stand tall in open fields of courage. He threshed wheat in a hidden wine press, looking over his shoulder, hoping no enemy would notice him. Maya would have understood that feeling. The ache of being overlooked. The fear of being noticed for all the wrong reasons. And yet, in that hidden place, heaven stepped into Gideon's fear with a sentence that didn't fit the moment at all. The Lord is with you, mighty warrior. Warrior. To a man trembling in a winepress? Courage to someone who had never tasted courage? Strength to someone who didn't know strength lived inside him? Maya didn't hear those words in ancient Hebrew. She heard them in the stillness of an ordinary morning. It happened while she was sitting at the bus stop before dawn. The same routine she had followed for years. Hands folded in her lap. Heart folded even tighter. A whisper crossed her mind so softly she almost missed it. There's more in you. She looked around, as if the words belonged to someone else, someone braver, louder, more deserving. But the whisper didn't leave. And for the first time in a long time, something inside Maya stirred. Something she thought had died when she was younger, when the world taught her to stay small. She shook her head. Not me, she murmured under her breath. Not me. I'm not strong. I'm not brave. I'm not anything. But the whisper returned. I am with you. She didn't know it yet, but those were the same words spoken to Gideon when he gave heaven every reason to choose someone else. And just like Gideon, Maya felt the ache of her own unworthiness rise to the surface. Why her? Why now? Why should heaven call someone who didn't even trust her own voice? The bus arrived. The world moved. But Maya sat there a moment longer, feeling the weight of a sentence that felt too holy for a woman who felt so small. There's more in you. Her heart argued. Her mind resisted. Her fear screamed. But somewhere deep inside, beneath all the places she'd learned to hide, an ember glowed. Quiet. Trembling. But alive. Maya couldn't escape the whisper. She tried. She buried herself in work, answered emails, tucked her hair behind her ear the way she did when she felt nervous, kept her head down just like every other day. But the words followed her. Through hallways. Through break rooms. Through moments of silence she once used to hide inside. There's more in you. She didn't know what those words meant, only that they felt too heavy for someone so small. Too holy for someone so overlooked. Too impossible for someone like her. And every time the whisper rose, a deeper voice inside pushed back. Why me? Not in anger. But in exhaustion. In disbelief. In years of feeling like the world had already decided who she was allowed to be. She typed quietly at her desk, and memories slipped back like shadows from doors she thought she'd closed long ago. Being told to quiet down. Being talked over. Being dismissed. Being made to feel invisible. Some wounds don't bleed. They whisper. They repeat. They grow roots in your identity until you forget where they came from. And Maya started to wonder if heaven really understood just how small she felt. But she wasn't the first to ask that question. On the other side of time, in the dust of an ancient land, Gideon had asked the same thing. When the angel called him a mighty warrior, his heart shook with disbelief. And from the winepress, in the quiet voice of a young man who had learned to stay hidden, Gideon answered, "Why has all this happened to us? Where are the miracles we heard about? How can I save Israel? My family is the weakest, and I am the least." Maya would have understood every word. The questions that come when pain becomes familiar. The doubt that rises when calling feels too big. The fear of stepping into a world that once taught you not to speak. Not to lead. Not to believe you mattered. Gideon didn't argue with heaven's identity for him. He argued with his own. And Maya could feel the same battle inside her chest. Later that evening, she sat alone in her small apartment. Knees pulled to her chest. Light from a single lamp painting soft gold on the walls. She whispered into the stillness. "If this is really you, why would you choose me?" Silence answered. But it wasn't empty. It was full. Heavy. Present. And then, like a warm breath on the inside of her heart, the same whisper came. "I will be with you." The same words spoken to Gideon. Not an explanation. Not a blueprint. Not a list of qualifications she needed to earn. Just presence. Gideon didn't suddenly become brave. Neither did Maya. But something inside both of them shifted. The smallest movement, like a seed cracking inside the soil. That night, Maya sat with her journal open, pen trembling between her fingers. She wrote 3 words she wasn't sure she believed. Why not me? And it wasn't confidence. It wasn't courage. It was simply the beginning of stepping out from everything that once defined her. Some battles roar like storms. Others whisper like memories. And the most dangerous ones are the battles you fight inside your own heart. Maya woke up the next morning with a heaviness she couldn't explain. Not sadness. Not fear. But the weight of something shifting, something unsettled, like a room she'd lived in for years was suddenly unfamiliar. She stood in front of the mirror, hands gripping the bathroom sink, eyes staring into a reflection she had avoided for too long. She didn't see strength. She didn't see destiny. She saw the stories she had been told about herself. Stories spoken by careless voices, carried from childhood into adulthood, etched so deep they felt like truth. You're too quiet. You're not leadership material. You don't have what it takes. Stay in the background. Don't expect too much. These were the altars Maya had grown up with. Not stone. Not wooden. But words, small sentences that built walls around her identity. Everyone has altars like that. Invisible, but powerful. Familiar, but destructive. And long before Maya stood in her bathroom mirror, another person faced his own. Gideon. When heaven called him, it didn't send him to fight an army first. It sent him home. To his father's land. To the idols that shaped his family. To the altars that had defined their fears. To the symbols of everything that held them back. Tear them down. That was the command. And Gideon, trembling under the weight of destiny he didn't believe he deserved, took his first step of obedience in the darkness of night. Not bold. Not loud. But obedient. It was messy. It was frightening. It was the moment everything began to change. Maya didn't hear the command out loud. But she felt it. A stirring. A pressure. A holy discomfort deep inside her chest. She closed her eyes and whispered, "What do you want me to do?" And in the quiet, she felt one simple direction rise. Start with the lies you believed. Not the world outside. Not her circumstances. Not the people who hurt her. Start with the lies. Maya felt something crack inside her. A realization she had spent years avoiding. She wasn't just hurt by others. She believed them. And belief is the deepest altar of all. She sat on the floor, back against the side of her bed, knees pulled to her chest. Tears slid down her cheeks carefully, like they were afraid to fall. She whispered the first lie. "I'm not enough." And for the first time in her life, she challenged it. "Who told me that?" Another lie rose. "I should stay quiet." She whispered back. "That wasn't heaven." Another. "No one wants to hear my voice." She breathed deeply. Then why would heaven speak to me? Altars were breaking. Not with hammers. Not with fire. But with truth, softly spoken in the presence of the divine. And the more she spoke truth, the more something inside her felt light. Fragile, but free. Gideon tore down idols of wood and stone. Maya tore down idols of shame and silence. Different altars. Same obedience. Same force calling both to step into a story larger than their fear. When Maya finally stood up, her eyes were red, her face damp, but something in her posture had changed. She wasn't confident. She wasn't fearless. But she was willing. For the first time in years, she believed that maybe, just maybe, heaven saw more in her than the world had ever spoken over her. Some people think growth feels like gaining strength. But often, it feels like losing everything you thought you needed. That's what happened to Maya. A week had passed since she tore down the first lies, the invisible altars that shaped her identity. She expected life to feel lighter, smoother, maybe even easier. Instead, everything began falling apart. People she thought she could depend on stopped showing up. Voices she counted on for stability grew distant. A friendship she believed was solid suddenly cracked under pressure. And the quiet world she built around safety began to tremble. It felt like everything she needed was slipping from her hands. At first she panicked. Then she prayed. Then she panicked again. I thought I was getting stronger. Why am I losing everything? But heaven was silent. And silence can feel like abandonment when you don't understand the season you're in. Yet it wasn't abandonment. It was alignment. Because long before Maya felt her life shrinking, Gideon watched his entire army disappear one fearful soldier at a time. He was told, "You have too many men." Too many. It made no sense. Israel was already outnumbered. Weak. Afraid. Yet the army kept reducing from 32,000 to 10,000 to 300 trembling men holding nothing but torches and jars. Why? Because victory would never come from numbers, or strength, or confidence, or human support. Victory would come from presence alone. And now Maya was living the same lesson. Her army was shrinking. The coworker who always covered for her stopped answering messages. The friend who always encouraged her became busy and distant. Even her family, the ones she depended on for constant reassurance, seemed to step back without explanation. Every pillar of support she leaned on was being quietly removed. She sat alone in her small apartment one evening, hands wrapped around a cup of tea gone cold, feeling the weight of everything disappearing. Why is this happening? But a deeper question rose inside her, one she didn't want to answer. Were these people my safety more than you were? She closed her eyes. The truth stung. Because sometimes what we cling to is removed so we can cling to something greater. Sometimes the noise around us is reduced so we can finally hear the voice that matters. Sometimes emptiness is allowed so it can be filled with presence. Maya didn't choose this season. Neither did Gideon. But something was being written through both of them, a story of dependence, of trust, of strength forged in surrender. For Gideon, the moment of realization came when he saw the 300 men standing in the pale morning light, shaking, uncertain, but chosen. He understood the army wasn't shrinking. His faith was being revealed. Maya realized the same one night when she finally broke. Knees on the floor. Tears warm on her hands. Heart desperate for answers. I feel alone. I feel abandoned. I feel empty. And in that fragile stillness, a familiar whisper returned. I am with you. Not the friend. Not the coworker. Not the family member. Not the person she thought she needed. Just presence. And for the first time, Maya saw the truth. Her support wasn't shrinking. Her dependence was being redirected. Her army wasn't being taken. Her faith was being revealed. She wasn't being abandoned. She was being prepared. Maya wiped her tears, stood up slowly, and whispered into the empty room. If you are all I have, then you are all I need. Fear has a way of visiting when you're closest to breakthrough. It doesn't roar. It whispers. It shows up in the hour when your hands shake, when your heart beats too loudly, when you suddenly question everything you thought heaven told you. That's where Maya found herself. Her army had vanished, the people she depended on, the routines she trusted, the comfort she clung to. She thought losing them was the worst part. But now she understood the truth. The worst part wasn't losing her support. The worst part was facing who she needed to become. One evening, she stood in the hallway of her apartment building, hand hovering over the doorknob of a community meeting room. Inside sat a small group who had asked her, very unexpectedly, to share her story, her thoughts, her experience. To lead. Her. Her throat tightened. Her palms felt slick. Her knees trembled. Every lie she had ever believed returned like a flood. You're not meant to speak. You're not the one. You'll mess this up. No one cares what you have to say. Stay small. Fear doesn't need truth. It only needs volume. Maya took a shaky breath. I can't do this. Not me. Not this. I'm not ready. And then, quiet, gentle, familiar, a whisper rose inside. Neither was Gideon. And suddenly Maya remembered. Gideon, standing on the edge of the greatest battle of his life, was still afraid. Still trembling. Still unconvinced he was the one who should be used. And what happened? He wasn't rebuked for fear. He wasn't shamed for trembling. He wasn't demanded to summon instant courage. He was told, go down to the enemy camp. If you are afraid, listen. So Gideon, shaking, uncertain, overwhelmed, walked into the darkness toward the very thing he feared. And there, in the camp of his enemies, he heard a man recount a dream that confirmed everything heaven had promised him. A dream that said you will win. I am with you. Sometimes encouragement comes from the most unexpected place, even from the mouths of those you fear. And now Maya stood in her hallway, feeling her heart beat like a war drum inside her chest. She whispered, if this is really you, give me something. Just something. The hallway was still. Silent. Empty. And then, from the other side of the building, she heard a voice, a woman she barely knew, laughing softly as she talked to someone over the phone. I hope Maya speaks tonight. She has something in her. I can feel it. Maya froze. It wasn't a prophecy. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't a thunderbolt. It was confirmation. A quiet echo of heaven spoken through an ordinary person. Her breath shook. Her eyes filled. Her fear didn't vanish, but it loosened its grip. She whispered, okay. I hear you. And as she placed her hand on the doorknob, she understood something she had never seen clearly before. Courage was never the absence of fear. Courage was stepping forward while fear still trembled inside you. Just like Gideon. Just like every person heaven ever called. Maya walked into the room. Her hands shook. Her voice wavered. But she spoke. She told her truth. She shared her wounds. She let her voice be heard, a voice that had once been buried under years of silence. People listened. People leaned in. People were moved. And when she finished, the room was quiet, not because she failed, but because her words carried weight. She sat down, breath unsteady, heart full. And in the privacy of her spirit, she whispered, "Thank you for not giving up on me." Destiny rarely announces itself with trumpets. It doesn't arrive with applause, or fireworks, or a sudden download of confidence. Most of the time, it slips in quietly, the way dawn enters a dark room. Soft. Steady. Unstoppable. And that's exactly how it came for Maya. A week had passed since she shared her story for the first time. Her voice still trembled when she thought about that night, but something inside her had changed. Something subtle. Something sacred. It wasn't confidence. Not exactly. It was courage. The kind that grows only after you've confronted fear and lived through it. Each morning, she woke with a sense of movement. A rising tide in her spirit. A gentle push towards something new. She was stepping into the return phase of her story, the part where you begin walking not as the person you were, but as the person heaven always knew you could be. And long before Maya took these steps, another trembling soul stepped into destiny before he felt ready. Gideon. He stood with 300 men, a number so small it felt like a joke, holding torches inside clay jars, hearts pounding, bodies shaking, waiting for the moment to move. And then, at the signal, they broke the jars, raised the torches, and shouted into the night. It wasn't military strategy. It wasn't numerical strength. It wasn't human brilliance. It was obedience. It was faith. It was presence. And the enemy fell into confusion, running in fear, defeated not by human power but by divine force. Gideon watched victory unfold not because he was mighty but because heaven was. And now Maya was about to experience her own version of that moment. Not on a battlefield. Not with torches or jars. But inside her own calling. Her moment came unexpectedly. Her supervisor approached her one morning at work, eyes bright, voice warm. "There's an opening. A leadership role. A small team, but important work. I think you'd be perfect for it." Maya's breath caught. She felt her chest tighten, not from fear, but from the overwhelming surprise that someone saw in her what she was only beginning to see in herself. She almost said no. Old reflex. Old fear. Old identity. But then she remembered the whisper, "There's more in you." She remembered the hallway, "You have something in you. I can feel it." She remembered the night she spoke. The night she stood. The night she chose courage over comfort. And in that moment, like Gideon lifting his torch, Maya lifted her voice. "I'll do it." Her supervisor smiled. "Good. I knew you would." And that small sentence, spoken in an office filled with soft light and quiet hope, felt like confirmation from heaven. Maya didn't transform instantly. Her hands still shook during the first team meeting. Her voice wavered on the first presentation. Her heart raced each time she stepped into something new. But courage isn't loud. Courage isn't perfect. Courage isn't the absence of trembling. Courage is choosing obedience while your knees are still shaking. Little by little, Maya grew into the version of herself that heaven always saw, the one hidden beneath years of silence. The one buried under old lies, the one waiting to rise. And one morning, standing on the rooftop of her apartment building at sunrise, gold light touching her face, wind moving gently through her hair, Maya whispered the words she never imagined she'd say. Thank you for calling me when I didn't believe in myself. For seeing me when I couldn't see who I was. For turning my doubt into destiny. Different centuries. Different worlds. Different kinds of battles. But the same force calling the fearful into purpose, the quiet into courage, the overlooked into leadership, the trembling into destiny. One source. Different times. Same faithfulness. And just like Gideon, Maya finally understood. Strength was never something she had to find. It was someone she had to trust. If this story touched your heart, hit like, and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And if you want more stories of faith and hope, subscribe to Mustard Seed Stories. One God. Different times. Same faithfulness.